we soaked our beans, and these are 1.5 cups of beans. Now let me show you down here at the bottom. This is why you don't want to put too many beans in a quart jar. They start getting stuck at the bottom. So we're going to swish this around a bit and try to get those loosened up. And then I'm going to empty this water, do a final rinse. Then I'm going to put this into the crock pot on high for about 2 hours with an additional 2 quarts of water to start getting the cooking process going. Crock pot's on high. Beans are in the pot. These are the beans I soaked overnight. I added 1 quart of fresh water after rinsing them a final time. But I like to cook them in the crock pot for 45 minutes to an hour on high. It helps release some of the starch from the beans so that they're not so starchy. Cooking for about an hour, and as you can see, they're really kind of poofing up, and you can kind of see it through some of the liquid. But you can also see that, other than the steam, okay, so there's a bit of a murky look to it. So I am going to drain that out and rinse the beans, drain it one more time, and then add about 1 quart of clean water. So I've rinsed and drained the beans, and I'm going to add 1 quart of clean water, and we're going to put it on a low. And this is where the magic really begins. To prep, clean, and store potatoes for different uses. First of all, I am going to put my potatoes, because I do not peel my potatoes, into a bowl. I'm going to cover them with cold water and let them soak for about 10 or 15 minutes. So this is one of my secrets to my pinto beans. And all I did was soak and scrub a potato. So I'm going to dice this up into very small pieces. Start by slicing it, and then I will cut it small this way. Then I will turn it and cut it real small, chop it real small this way. Now you get starch from potatoes, which is fine, except most people are a little more health conscious now. So one of the things that I do to help minimize the starch is I will put it in a colander and rinse it with cold water really well. It may not take a lot of starch out, but it does take out a little bit. So I have my potatoes diced and in a colander set aside. Now I'm going to take a medium yellow onion, now I don't like the outer layer. I don't think it cooks very well, so I always remove it. Aside from the papery kind of stuff, this outer shell just seems to be not my most favorite part. The cook on it usually is a little more difficult. Okay, so I'm going to do a real small slice and then dice on a whole onion. If you had watched my onion prep, clean, and store and had not used your onions yet, you can just simply drain that and add that to this recipe. So we're doing the onions pretty much the same way we did potatoes. If you get some larger pieces, that's okay. It's all going to cook down. So I've put my potatoes, my diced potatoes, and my diced onions all in the colander. I'm going to take it to the sink and rinse it really well and let it strain a little bit. Now we go to the stove. We use approximately 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. approximately 1 tablespoon of the Knorr chicken flavored bouillon. Not too much. You want kind of a level tablespoon of that, because it can be a bit salty. And then we're going to do a nice heaping tablespoon of the Better Than Bouillon chicken flavor. This is one of my go-tos. And then we're going to add some fresh pepper. Just several turns. This is going to be going into your beans. Now the bouillon helps break down the beans, as well as the starches in your potatoes, and it helps your onions cook. So what I did is my potatoes, diced potatoes and onions that I had just kind of straining a little bit, I just dumped that in. And now I'm going to use about a tablespoon of minced garlic. Now this is our base that's going to get added to the beans that are in the crock pot. This is on a medium-high heat, and I'm just going to make sure that the oil is kind of encompassing everything along with these bouillon flavors. So I'm just going to mix it up real good, put the lid on it, and let it kind of do its thing for just a little bit. Now, I'm just checking on it. It's only been like a minute or minute and a half. So it feels like, just by moving it around, it feels like the potatoes are already starting to cook. I'm going to cover it for a couple more minutes and then come back and check on it. Okay, it's been a couple minutes. As you can see, there's all this bubbling going on the outer edge. The small pieces of potato, let's see if I can, oh, my glasses on, so yeah, it's starting to get a little tender, but if you can see, we're getting almost like a broth. Hopefully you can see. It's a little getting thickened up a little bit, which is what you expect with onions. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. You don't have to cook this for very long because it is going in the crock pot, but you do want to give it a good running start to start breaking down. So we're just dumping our sauteed blend into the crock pot. Now if you are wanting like a ham and bean type of dish, that's fine. You still want to use at least the Better Than Bouillon. You probably don't want to use the Knorr's bouillon base because of all the salt in it, and there'll be plenty of salt, should be plenty of salt with your ham bone. So, but you do want that chicken flavor. It helps tremendously. Now we're just going to let this cook on low for the rest of the day, and it'll be ready for dinner tonight. Thanks for watching. So these are the pinto beans. The pork goes in them real easy. And we're not eating these tonight, so I don't think we are. So I am filling mason jars with beans. I'm going to split it between 2 jars. So I pulled most of the beans out of there, and I've got probably close to 4 cups of beans. I'm going to split the juice between the two. I'm going to let it cool and then refrigerate. You can use these for beans and cornbread, or you can drain the liquid off and add just a little bit of liquid and turn them into refried beans, or you can just heat them up for beans in your burrito.